Here we are back once again. It is I, yours truly, the maniac. We greet this holy episode in the holy name of Shiva. I go by the name of Thandon Nkonyana, and this is yet another privilege in which we've got to shoot another current state of mind. Man, the smile on my face is it all, man. The smile on my face is it all. Let me just have a sip of that water, man. First of all, I am grateful that I am still intact. Thank you, Almighty Shiva, for continuing to occupy my mind. Thank you, Almighty Shiva, for continuing being in every part of my life, because that is one thing sometimes I do take for granted. Man, I'm just doing a reflection on this past week as I'm recording this on the 18th of April on a Friday. Christians are celebrating Easter. I don't celebrate Easters. Easters mean nothing to me. I'm not Christian. But for those who are going to be celebrating, I do hope that you are going to be with loved ones. You're probably going to listen to this later than the date in which it was recorded, but happy Easters to everyone who follows Easters and who practices the religion. But back to what the current state of mind is, and it's all about reflection, man. This past 3 weeks have been filled with mental shifts, changes physically, uh, being tired, being dropped, having to pick yourself up, you in doubt, you are giving new instruction, you are in a new territory, you have to re-meet certain people, you have to put yourself into bed in some other instances, and man, I don't want to lie, it's been tough. But you know what? Throughout everything that has to do with toughness, that is when I understand that my resilience is always going to be at the test. Um, it's not supposed to be easy. At any point in your life, if it is easy, I think there is something that is missing right there. And when I mean something is missing, it's because nothing that stays comes easy. In a sense of, we forget that we spend so much time thinking about what we want to do, and we don't incorporate the necessary action to take us a step closer. And I think about this book that I read once called The Compound Effect. I need to get a physical copy of that book, um, about the importance of you accumulating daily actions, and then over a period of time they actually get to compound, and in those actions actually compounding, that is when you can look back and see the amount of progress that you made. I'm quite sure many of us have heard the analogy that Rome wasn't built in a day. It is a combination of everyday disciplines that will accumulate one day, and eventually you will be able to see a result. That is why it's so important for us not to judge the next 24 hours that we do have, more than think about what can we be able to actually contribute towards that 24 hours to be a step closer. Will Smith, one of my favorite actors, he talks about laying a brick a day. When I say lay a brick a day, my understanding of that was the fact that what you have at this moment and what you can do to be a step closer, make sure you articulate about that, because the next day is going to be another day in which you can be also a step closer in laying that brick. So be so articulate, laying that brick in such a way that you can give your all. Be meticulous, be precise, be focused, and say, this is what I want to get out of this day. And even if you do not get what you aim for, you would look back and be proud of yourself. There are plenty of moments where I found myself in life where I was feeling miserable, and that was nobody's fault except the fault of my own. The emotional feedback that I was getting from the things that I was doing, obviously, I had to take into mind. Hyperbolic memory becomes important in that sense, where now we are not there to actually answer back to what our emotions are telling us, because they are feedback loops. And your emotions, if you can be able to interpret them in such a way that there is a message that is trying to tell you, but you are so focused on riding the emotions and trying to evade how you're currently feeling that moment, which in a sense you could be evading a message that you were supposed to take at that time, which could indicate what your next steps will be. I talk so often about Life has no formula. Like, your life is unique as it comes. But one thing we all do have in common is the fact that we're always going to be faced with problems. Problems are guaranteed to everyone. As you are listening to this right now, there are problems accumulating. But you know what? We don't run from problems. We face them. We only become stronger by confrontation and not avoidance. Of lately, and also within my journey, I've had this instinct of reaching out to my circle of accountability, the people that hold me accountable for my actions, and I do vice versa for them. Just feeling like I want to check in and see how things are. And it so happened I reached out to my brother, and he was not in good space. To me, that was my opportunity to show love. To be honest, most importantly, because we created this brotherhood and friendship because we wanted one another to be honest about where we were, what it takes, embrace, first of all, any emotional roller coaster that we're going through. Because the majority of our decisions that never went our way were made in the emotional state. Tell me of any decision that you have made in an emotional state that came out right, and I'll wait for you. The reason why you keep on destroying yourself is because you are letting your emotions rule you instead of being a guide to you. And this backs action. Something that you can use to your advantage and be like, okay, what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to tell me about what I'm going through? So I reached out to my brother and I had this amazing conversation with him. As much as the conversation was to him, it was also to me as well. To realize, you know what? You might be at a high, but someone in your life is at a low. That is when we must have the strength and the ability to actually lift one another. For us to tell each other the hardcore truth. To tell you, yo, my brother, it ain't gonna be easy. But you know what? We must still strive. We must still persevere. Reminding my good brother to be grateful about where he is right now. Because he's exactly where he needs to be. How he's feeling, there's nothing wrong in you feeling that kind of way, my G. But you know what? It's not gonna stay like this. Storms are not here to come and destroy you. Storms are only here to clear the pathway for you. Those thoughts that cross your mind, you don't have to feel bad about them crossing your mind, bro. You see, because we are living in a world that is pumped up with so much negativity. But you know what? We gotta handle the negative. We gotta handle the negative. We have to dig deep into ourselves, even when we don't feel like it. But we play to win, bro. We are winners already, bro. The fact that we still have life and within us, it means we're still winning. That's why I said to you, quit tripping. Because you're in the process, my G. You are in the process. When it's dark, when it seems like it's not working out, that is when you are put to the test, because your creator, he gave you this gift. Now he wants to see what you're going to do about it. Even during hard times, are you going to give up on yourself? Are you going to throw in the towel? You've come way too far for you to give up, Thando. Everything that was placed in front of you was only here to build you. That iron that you're going to lift in the gym, you're going to tear your muscles apart. But it's necessary. In order for the new you to come, the old you must be killed. It must be destroyed. That's why the iron, when lifted up, it's fucking up your muscles. But at the end of the day, we have to break in order to build. Shed all that doubt. Shed all that fear. Shake it off. And realize that You are not done. Because one thing I can remind you is that if it were easy, everyone would be doing it.
Do you know how hard it is to be yourself?
Do you know the amount of traction and pull that the outside world has? And once you give into it and you don't learn to discipline yourself, how they can become your reality, it can rule you. You can be driven by outside entities and not in within the powers that you possess. That's why it's important for you to go and take the emotions to school. The emotions must go to school. Emotional intelligence. Good brother and sister, emotional intelligence matters most than anything. Because you're always going to be in positions where you have to choose. Even not choosing is a choice on its own. You want to avoid? Then you are to bear the brunt of the outcome of avoidance. You want to confront? You have to bear the outcome of confrontation. Because either or is still a decision. Take that risk. Bet on yourself. What if it works out? No, what if it doesn't work? What if it does? Have you ever thought about the only 1% chance that you have to make it a reality? And you're busy telling me about the 99% on the reasons why it won't work out? Look at me! Look at me making it, doing it. It's through action that we defeat everything that is against you. Fear is only false evidence appearing real. When you start to believe what someone else says of you, that becomes your truth. Anything that you choose to believe, that becomes your truth. It's not even a matter of debating. Some of us are believing that we're not good enough for what we want. And we forget that what we believe becomes our truth. That will become your truth as long as you start continuing believing in it. The moment you do otherwise and you believe otherwise, trust me, it's not going to be easy because old habits die hard. I'm still working on my habit of overthinking. I still have a problem of thinking for people, making decisions for people, even if those decisions concern me. But you know what? You cannot change what you're not aware of. What are you currently doing right now that you need to be aware of, that is destroying you, that you need to stop doing right now? Let's start there. Because we have a habit of self-sabotage. That must stop. Stop sabotaging yourself, bro. Stop sabotaging yourself, girl. You see, the last thing you're ever gonna need right now is for you to be the enemy. There are already problems in the world, but the last problem should be yourself. The last person that should be against you is you. Do you understand how important that is? Have you ever taken time to actually realize how important you are to yourself? And how the current self is the person responsible for creating the future self? What sacrifices is he gonna make right now? The young me had to bet on himself. He had to go out there without none. He had to find no excuse. He said, if there's a will, there will be a way. So dig deeper. Dig deeper, my G. From here onwards, it ain't even gonna be easy. Because life is just a series of mountains, man, that we have to climb. And even after you've climbed this current mountain, and you get to the peak, there's another one waiting for you. So why don't you work on your ability to climb? You work on your resilience. You work on your endurance. You work on your perseverance. Work on your plan. Know what you want. Rest when possible, but be on grip. Ignite that inner fire in you. Because it does exist. But don't forget to love yourself, bro. Pat yourself on the back. You're already doing it. Mish already, shout out to Michelle Abdulatif. He said to me, bro, you already doing it. Why are you out here feeling like this? You already doing it, bro. Like yeah, man. You give your all, bro. Yes, I know that your best is not going to be the same every day, but you still turn up and you give your best. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how important that is for you when you actually put that head down to that pillow and you know for this past 24 you gave your all and you're ready for the first one or for the next one? When I wake up, I expect good things to happen. I expect to be a step closer. As much as I might feel bad about myself, and I do, it's because I'm only human. But I'm not going to be able to find myself in that loop for too long. Miss a workout 1 day, that's fine. 2 days, not fine. 3 days, oh my word. Now you're starting to lose grip. 4 days, nah, hell nah. Now you go on 5 days, oh motherfucker. Why did you start this in 6 days and then 7 is a week and you lost grip? Come on, man. Go back on that saddle. Go again and choose your suffering. Because every one of us makes a decision. We make a decision what we want to suffer for. You gonna do it? It's gonna be suffering. You ain't gonna do it? It's gonna be suffering. So choose. Choose your pain. Anything you gonna do, choose your pain. Like I chose my own lane. Yes, you might talk about loneliness, but in fact, I'm never alone. Because I'm always with myself. Don't you sometimes find yourself on the way to work or wherever you're going, the inner conversations that you would be having? Do you think there's one person that's talking there? It's not one person. There's the general, and then there's the soldier. There's the one who commands, and then there's the one that takes the commands. That's the inner conversation. If you can be able to interpret it in that way, the general gives instructions. He's the one who tell us, hey, be disciplined. Go and record that episode. Go and post that Instagram reel, that TikTok. Go and post on YouTube. Go and promote the podcast. Go and do this. That's the general. The soldier is the one that takes instruction. He must execute what the general tells him. So what kind of general do you have? Or maybe you can interpret as the devil and the angel. The one that's going to do good and the one that's going to do bad. Whatever way you want to interpret it, but I more prefer the general giving the instruction and the soldier taking the instructions. Executor, the planner. You see, this one knows more than the other one. But this one needs this other one, and this one needs this other one. Because the plans that the general makes, the soldier cannot be able to execute if he ain't existing. If your general can't give you instructions, then your soldier can't execute that instruction. We go back on what operating system have you instilled? What government is in your own head? That's why I'm saying I don't believe in loneliness. Because you're never alone. Even when you're by yourself. I don't believe in that. But my main emphasis is in a government, there is a head of state. There are ministers, there are vices, and then there are MOPs. Each and every person in your government has a role to play. The head of state, he has a top job. The ministers also have a job to execute. It's different factions, whether it's sports, it's health, it's ministry, whatever you want to call it. So what government have you installed in your own mind? Because we don't realize that there is a government that's running there. There is a president, there is a minister, there's an MP, there's a councillor, And it trickles down because there's a hierarchy of power, and we cannot be able to not be aware of such things. We can't do it by ourselves. We can't say I was born this way, because no human is inherently born to do something. Some decide to make a decision, you know what? I'm going to choose this pathway. I chose to start the show, man. I didn't need nobody. I needed myself. I needed to be aware of what do I have to make it a reality. That's all the possibilities that I needed. When I had that smartphone, I had all the answers. I had it all. I had the wheel, I had the equipment, and I made it a reality. So the moment you think you will need others to make you, you've already lost. People won't leave, budgie. They won't leave you by yourself. So you might as well enjoy the relationship with yourself. Going back to that inner conversation as well. Imagine you are your own best friend. No? And every day you wake up and you want to love this person. You want to fulfill, you want to stay true to this person. But because the world works a different way, and we need to acknowledge and be aware of those outcomes. We need to be aware in how the world is programming us to turn against ourselves. It wants to leave us with this guilt. It wants to leave us with, oh, you selfish, you do not think about other people. Human beings are inherently selfish. Whenever you make a decision, who do you first consider is going to benefit out of this decision other than yourself? Pour my water. So now you gonna blame another person for putting themselves first? You gonna blame another person for tricking you? No, you need to blame yourself for thinking that human beings can be trusted. Trust is something that's built, and it's a transaction. There are relationships that we currently are in right now that are one-sided, no transaction. The other is taking and you are giving. And you know what about a person that is a taker? A taker has no limits. The taker will keep on taking. That's why the giver must have limits. Or else you will find yourself being abused. Some of us, we are dying in these relationships because we are thinking, what if I leave and I don't become? No. So is the abuse that you are receiving right now worth you staying? More than you freeing yourself from this? Because you don't imagine yourself not being with someone. Relationships are a place of solace. That's where we should get the most peace. You can't be fighting in the work environment and coming home and fighting again, and then you come to your partner and then you fight again. No! When is your mind going to get peace? When are you going to get the rejuvenation? That's why if you don't fill your cup first, then you can't spill unto others. I can't give you what I don't have. So be careful. And this comes from not very far, it comes from family. There are family members who are fucking draining. They think you owe them shit. You don't owe nobody shit, nigga. You hear me? You owe nobody nothing. What you worked for is what you worked for. That's why I'm asking you, please, whoever think you are entitled to what belongs to me, you need to heal from your entitlement. Heal. How do you heal? You go and get what's yours so that you are not watching someone else eat. Why you go watch another man eat while your own food goes cold? I don't think I'm making sense. If you were so focused on making yours a reality, you wouldn't be looking at mine. You wouldn't be even affected. Instead, you're going to be inspired. I'm like, bro,
I love what you're doing. You're getting yours. I'm getting mine as well. You inspire me. That is the business we should be in. But because the mind inherently looks for negative, the brain is programmed not to free you. It is to always keep you safe. That's why your survivor instinct is always going to kick in. It's always going to kick in. That is when you need to discipline and be like, nigga, there ain't no danger out here. We need to go out there and get it. You're going to be bruised. Doors are going to be shut in front of you. People are going to tell you no. But at the end of the day, I always tell myself, I am not a no. I am 1 yes away. I am not a no. I am 1 yes away. 99 people can tell me I ain't shit. And one person says, you been so much. I cling on that one person. Even if the odds are stacked against you, you can do it. But are you willing to do it? It's the will and the grace, man. I don't think you understand how you should take yourself seriously. We are so immersed in celebrity lives, people that don't know us. We praise them, we put them on a pedestal. We forget that they shit like we do. They sweat like we do. When they wake up in the morning, their mouth smells like we do. How about you take that very same energy that you have in watching that binging Netflix series, and binge your own goals? Because you're not where you're supposed to be. You're far away. You're lacking. You're embarrassment to the kingdom. That's what you are. And when they ask, how come you still here? Who are you gonna be? That is when you need to blame yourself. To all my niggas in my circle of accountability, it ain't over. It's only over when God says it's over. The moment he keeps waking us up, it ain't over. Luabalo Chadam Sipa, it ain't over. Pongoleur Tumaolwane, it ain't over. Sungula Sitekana, it ain't over. Nigga, we are still diamonds in the rough. But remember, even if you're a diamond in the rough, you're still a diamond, man. And that's how you get built, through pressure. Look for that pressure, my G. Don't run. And don't forget why you started. You see, pain is temporary, but regret is eternal. The moment you quit right now on you, that's gonna remain with you for the entire. That shit gonna be permanent. But when you persevere, when you feel the pain, because pain is only weakness leaving the body, that is when it's gonna be worthwhile, my G. You're gonna be proud of yourself. You're gonna honor yourself. And you're gonna thank yourself. As I close this current state of mind, I want to thank the younger version of myself. That young person that you were, Thando, who didn't know where it would have come to if he didn't make that decision. I want to thank him. I'm appreciative of you, young man, because the version I am right now didn't just start today. It didn't start at when 2025 started. It started when I was born. I refuse to be a product of my environment. I always love taking the road less traveled. And as a closing statement, they laugh at me because I'm different. I laugh at them because they are all the same. There's power in you being unique, my G. Love and appreciate you. This is closing to our current state of mind. Motivational maniac is who I am. And this is not a segment through the concrete jungle. Namaste and shalom.